Let's get it done then. Right, we're clicking.
Yep. Rob.
There we go. Excellent. Thank you very much. Morning, buddy. Morning, guys. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this back. And good morning, Hatham. Thank you for jumping on with us this morning, buddy.
No problem.
I hope we've all had a good bank holiday weekend. I guess first and foremost, it's been absolutely lovely over this way with the weather. What's things doing your way, bud?
Good, yeah. I mean, a bit foggy by the coast, like.
Yes, I bet. Yeah,
Got a
yeah.
bit, there was a big old cover in of fog, and then yeah, we're all right after that.
Yeah,
Good.
hopefully.
Nice. There was, I think, 3 nice days in a row, which is almost unheard of.
I was going to say, especially on a bank holiday, isn't it? Especially on a bank
Normally
holiday.
get at least 1 day of rain, but not this time round.
Not this time round, yeah. I actually managed to get the grass dried after like a month of rain, so you know it's been hot. I've just seen we've got Gary in the chat. Morning, guys, buddy.
Morning,
Hope
Gary.
you're all right, mate. Hope you've had a good bank holiday. Right, guys, so this morning we are jumping straight back into where we left off from last week, really. So last week we started our level 2 course, looking at developing skills for not just employment, but personal fitness and well-being as well, you know, and it's something that we've mentioned quite a lot over the last year. At least, you know, I'm sure that fitness might not have been a priority for a lot of people. Of course, be it whatever's going on with the economy, whatever's going on with health, mental health as well has been absolutely massive over the last year. So now's as good a time as any to start thinking about, okay, what we're going to do in terms of keeping fit and keeping well, especially as things sort of move back towards normal. So yeah, we're going to be looking at developing some of those skills as well. You know, I'd like to think that the sunshine being out is a little bit more motivating as well. I don't know about you, Hatham, but I certainly feel it a bit of a kick up the backside more when it's a nice day. It's like I'm going to get up out of bed. Right, what can I do? Where can I go for the day? What can I be up to?
It's definitely easier to be out and about, isn't it?
Definitely, mate. Definitely. So hopefully, you know, we are getting to that point where we're thinking about, even if it hasn't been something that we've been able to really sort of prioritize for the last year for other circumstances or whatever reason, now we can start carrying on doing what we were doing on the level 1, where we're looking at barriers and removing them so we can be as fit and as active and ideally as healthy as possible, really, you know. So yeah, we're just going to be building on from there. And this morning as well, what we're going to take a little bit of time to do is look at so we can write a CV as well, because it's absolutely crucial, really, isn't it? You know, it's almost your first point of contact with a potential employer, and it could really be their first impression of you, who you are, you know, your skills and your work set and your experiences and stuff like that. So especially now, as you know, I would like to think that there's going to be, as sort of custom returns to businesses, especially small businesses and stuff like that, and people can go about their day-to-day life, you'd like to think that there's going to be big uptake in the workforce, you know, over the next 6 months, especially through summer. So you might be thinking to yourself, right, okay, it might be a little bit of pocket money for the summer, or maybe you're thinking about a career change or something like that. So yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a look at writing a CV, what you'd expect to put in there, what an employer might expect to see, and sort of going down that route a little bit and thinking about how we could move forward if it came to either volunteering or applying for jobs and stuff like that. So before we dive into what we're going to do this week, we'll just have a little recap on everything we sort of ran through last week. Now, by all means, if you do want to go back and check out last week's video again, by all means do. Of course, you should still have the link, and if you need it again, just give me a shout and I'll get it across to you. So last week we sort of broke down the course as a whole, and we looked at all the units that we're going to be doing. And for the time being, we're working on the participating in vocational tasted work booklet that you should have, that Hatham and myself sent out to you last week. So that's the one that we're working on. That's the one that our homework's going to be in this week, and the one that we're going to be actually sort of working in. Yeah. And what we're going to do, we're actually going to take a bit of time to look at the doit.life website, which is pretty much sort of like a central hub for all the information, sort of, I would say, in your area, but because of the amount of filters that are on it, it can be as broad as you want it to be, really, you know. So for the purpose of what we're going to be doing, where we're thinking more sort of hypothetical, you can have a look and you can go on and you can look at what different jobs are out there in different areas, different industries, all around the country, if you want, just to get an idea for what sort of jobs are out there. Because do you know what? It's surprising how often I hear about a job or a job position or a job being done. I think, you know, I wouldn't have even thought that was a job in the first place. You know, just all them little things that you don't think about. Like if someone out there needs to be doing it, it's a job. Do you know what I mean? And there's so much more option out there than you might realize. So this website in itself that we're going to look at this morning could be a really good way of just sort of like I say, just having a little bit of a look, having a bit exploring, seeing what jobs are available in each industry. You know, we sort of touched on last week, of course, if we're talking about this, the fitness industry in itself, you know, you've got PTs, you've got secretaries on the front desk, you've got gym managers, you've got shift managers. They're all doing different jobs. So it's hard to say whether the fitness industry would be for you without thinking about all of the individual jobs, you know, rather than just saying, okay, this one's not for me. So yeah, it's going to be a really good opportunity to just have a little bit of a look around and see what is actually out there. And then, yeah, we're actually going to use that to start having a look at the post itself, seeing what skills that these positions are asking for, because of course, an employer will put on an application post sort of skills and qualities they would expect to see or that might be required for the job. You know, we sort of talked last week how if you're going to be working on sort of like an incoming customer service role, you're going to need relatively good people skills, or, you know, communication skills. Maybe there's a lot of patience, you know, maybe some tougher skin if you're doing the incoming calls, and you're probably just going to get the not so nice phone calls, you know. Unfortunately, again, somebody out there's got to do it, you know. And there is people out there that are certain, obviously, like I say, certain skill sets, certain qualities that just really thrive at that sort of job. You know, I don't think I would do so well in that sort of position, but then I see obviously certain other jobs that I realise that my own skill set sort of apply. So we're going to be doing a little bit of that sort of throughout as well, where we're thinking about looking at the pros and cons of a job. Will they suit you? Will they suit what you're looking for? And all of that stuff as well. So then we're going to be moving on and looking at using sort of materials, tools, equipments in practical activities. So we're going to be talking fitness kit, you know, we're going to be talking medicine balls, we're going to be talking kettlebells, we're going to be talking dumbbells, resistance bands, all of that. Then we're going to be looking at, and you guys are actually going to design your own circuit cards. So in the situation that you were delivering a fitness class, what cards could you use to keep the whole thing organized? You know, we're going to get the name of the exercise on there, what kit would be used, what muscles you develop in doing that exercise, and all of that as well, you know. So that is something that we're going to work on in a little bit of time as well. So before we move on to all of that, let's get a look at this next slide. So we're going to be doing, like we say, a little bit of volunteering today and looking at the Do-It.Life website, how to begin writing the CV and what we should include. Because I don't know about you, buddy, but when I've done CVs before, sometimes I find getting started is the hardest bit. Like sometimes when you get going, you can be on a little bit of a roll, but the fact that if you're going to put your personal statement first, so you put like your name, your date of birth or whatever, and then it's like, right, now I need to really, really big myself up. Like I have trouble bigging myself up sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a tough thing to do. Obviously, being modest, but you've got to big yourself up, haven't you? You know, it's your best chance to. So knowing how to go about that as well, I think can be a really important skill.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it depends what you're going for as well. And you tailor your CV sometimes a little bit. You have like certain things on it that'll always be on it, but then if you're going for something specific, you know, like working in hospitality or whatever, then you maybe want to lean into the hospitality bit a bit more.
Yeah,
and talk about that maybe in a cover letter, or maybe you just amend your CV ever so slightly and talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, and you can make it, like you say, you can make it more applicable to the job, can't you? So again, if we've looked at one of these posts on the website, or we've seen the job application itself, you know, and it says that it expects someone who's enthusiastic and energetic and friendly, you can make sure that you put those words in your CV and hit them bullet points, you know, so you actually hit that criteria for them. And you know, I mean, you'll know yourself, buddy, the way that a lot of employee searches goes on these days is automated, isn't it? You know, it'll just scan through and it'll pick out keywords. So it can be really helpful to make sure that you get some of those words in that the job post is actually asking for. And of course, to do that, we've got to know where to look for the job post in the first place, which is where we're going to start for today, really. And then once we've done that, like I say, we're just going to have a little brief introduction to circuit training. Haytham, I know you've done a little bit of circuit training as well in your time. You know, I'm sure you could probably speak as well as anybody for the difference between like circuit training and just going in and doing your straight sets and doing like 10 reps on your chest press, and then you sit around for a couple of minutes and you get your recovery in, and then you go again. Like, that's a really, really easy way to be in the gym for an hour and a half. Now, not to say that that's not sometimes the right way to do it, and it's all very goal specific, but there's not many times and there's not many clients I've worked with over the years where we haven't been able to utilize and really make the most of circuit training at some point. You know, it might not be circuit training every session, but in terms of the benefit that you get from it, just almost the pure cardiovascular benefit that you get from it, and then the muscular endurance benefit that you get. And those are two things that pretty much everybody could do a working on at some point.
Yeah.
So
all like a catch-all in it, because you can do a strength circuit as well.
Yes, definitely.
Depends how you configure it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just all on how it's put together, and the more we understand circuit training, which hopefully you guys will a lot better by the end of the day, the easier time you have setting up your own circuits, because there's not really like a wrong way to do them. You know, you could say, right, I'm going to do 10 exercises in a row, and like, you can make those 10 exercises whenever you want. It's still a circuit. You've still done a circuit. And a lot of or some of the benefits are still going to be the same. You're not resting very much in between sets. You are doing quite a long set before you get much of a rest at all. You know, you might do your 10 exercises. So there's not really a wrong way to do it, but how do we then maximize what it is that you're actually trying to get out of the circuit? You know, like Haitham sort of mentioned, if you wanted to do strength training in a circuit form, you know, you would be trying to get the most out of each muscle group or each lift at a time. So you wouldn't necessarily do like a deadlift straight into a squat, because by the time you get to a squat, you're going to be compromised. You're going to be fatigued. You know, you could put a bench press in between. So as you're doing your bench, which is going to be quite heavy, you know, your legs are at least going to be resting from your squat. Yeah. Then you can get to the deadlift. You can go a little bit heavier again. So structuring it that way is all just based on what our goals are and what our sort of desired outcomes are. And that is, of course, something that we're going to talk about as well. Really, really sort of trying to specify and target what it is you're trying to develop, what benefits you'd like to get, or in this case, what benefits you'd like to give to whoever is coming to do the circuit that you're planning. Because like we say, there's a lot of use, there's a lot of application for circuit training. Pretty much no matter what the goals are, it's just a case of using those goals to shape what the circuit sort of ultimately looks like in the end.
I think just be careful as well, because you don't realize how hard something is sometimes till you do it.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Just because you might be like hot out the traps and full of energy, like on your first couple of sets. Like if you've given yourself, I don't know, if you've given yourself 10 exercises to do in a row, just bear in mind that like you're going like hell for leather on the first one. You're going to know about it by the time you get to the last exercise. And again, you know, depending on how it's structured can sort of affect that a little bit as well. You know, I have deliberately done it where like a circuit is 5 upper body exercises followed immediately by 5 lower body exercises. So upper and lower body are pretty much both absolutely frazzled by the time the circuit's done. You know, whereas if you're sort of alternating, so you do upper, lower, you're giving each muscle group a chance to rest while the other muscle groups working, you know. So again, that's going to change up the way that your body kind of has to adapt, which is where we get our progress from, really, isn't it? That's all it is our body adapting to our lifestyle and our habits. That's all we're doing, which is why we need to make things like regular exercise and healthy nutrition. It needs to be a habit rather than just something that we do from time to time, of course, which I'm sure we all know, you know, especially after you know, maybe after the last year where we've been sat around, we haven't been able to move quite as much, you know, the fridge has been that little bit closer, you know. I'm sure we're all feeling it a little bit, so yeah, it's a really good time to think about just being nice and specific with the training that we're doing, because of course I want, and hopefully you guys would just want everybody to get the most out of their time and their effort as possible, really. You know, I'm aware that a lot of us do train for longevity, you know, and to sort of fight off father time and to make the rest of our lives a little bit easier, don't we? You know, that those day-to-day bits, getting up and down the stairs, carrying the shopping round, playing with the kids or the grandkids or whatever it is, you know, is that sort of reality that I'd say 95% of people that I've ever met in the gym are just people who want to feel better the rest of the time. You know, it's sort of like a necessary evil. rather than like, oh, okay, I'm training for a bodybuilding show, or do you know what I mean, where I'm training specifically for anything else. So again, circuits can be really, really helpful in a lot of sort of day-to-day applications, for sure. But we'll get there. We'll get the circuits back end of this morning anyway. So before we get into looking at volunteering, let's have a little bit of a think about why to do it. There's a lot of different reasons that we could want to volunteer, or look to volunteer. Uh, Especially at the minute, again, coming out of restrictions as things are hopefully slowly returning back to normal. Um, it might be something to keep a little bit of sort of occupation, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, sort of, it's good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health as well, I guess, if it's getting you moving, depending on what the position is itself. But it's good for your just overall well-being. If all you've had potentially all you've sort of thought about, stressed about, worried about, whatever, for the last year might be COVID and restrictions and stuff like that. It's a good opportunity to sort of focus your mind on something else. Because I'm all for being cautious and all for being safe and all for sort of keeping an eye and being all analytical and stuff like that. There's only so much good that worrying will do, isn't there?
Yeah.
Not
a lot normally.
Exactly, yeah. You can make yourself, of course, really, really ill. Your mental health can really suffer. Your physical health can suffer. And having a sense of purpose, almost having something to do, a sort of objective for the day, for the week, whatever it is, can be really, really good in sort of combating that. So again, depending on what your circumstances are, you might just be looking for something that's maybe something to spend a little bit of time on, a little bit of energy on, something to sort of distract you, something else for you to focus on for a change. Because I'm aware for a lot of people it has been Groundhog Day for the last year. Then we've got, of course, it's a good chance to gain some new experience. If you've maybe seen a job position or an industry or a vocation that you'd like to sort of transition into or sort of make steps towards, you might realize that there might be a little bit of experience in that field that's required before a paid position sort of realistic. So it might be an opportunity for you to go and say, okay, I'm going to go and get experience in this field. So it's something else that I can add to my CV, something else that I can put on and say, right, okay, I've done this before. You're asking that this position is asking me to be able to be capable of doing this, and then I've gone away and I've proved that I've done it somewhere else. So that's another box ticked, and really another bit of criteria that you've hit from the employee's point of view. We've sort of mentioned having a little bit of a cause and a little bit of focus for your mental health. But of course, it's good to just have something that, if you can find something that you're passionate about as well. If you can find a vocation or an industry that you're really, really passionate about, it's your chance to be active and involved in and engaged in something where you could potentially and ideally make positive change. And again, if that's in a field that you are really sort of passionate about, it could be something just as simple as, if you really, really like animals, go and volunteer and do some dog walking or something like that. That then puts you in a position where you can say, okay, on my CV, I've done dog walking before, with this job or with this position, wherever it was, I've now proved that I can be, it shows responsibility, doesn't it? It shows organization. It shows sort of reliability as well. There's a lot of stuff that you show, and of course you get to do something that that like I say, you're passionate about, and you're going to be making really sort of positive change as well, sort of within that area. So as good a reason as any to get to sort of go and dip your toe in and see what's what.
I stuck a link in from the National Volunteering Council.
Oh, okay.
That's just why volunteer. And that's their link. And it's all the stuff you're talking about, but if anyone wants to do any more reading, there's some stuff on there about, like, they've got a YouTube campaign about, like, where to start, and a few links on, like, finding a volunteer centre and stuff. And that's something we've used in the volunteering course that we run as well. So we do the SET PD, which is Skills for Employment Training and Personal Development. And if anyone's interested in that at all, it does have a particular focus on volunteering, so we can take what Rob's saying and expand on it in a level 1 award for volunteering as well, if anyone is interested.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because obviously the reason that we're doing a lot of this work and looking at this is because we're acknowledging how much of it's a search for information, really, isn't it? You know, there's so much out there, and it is such a big sort of, such a broad sort of spectrum. It's not really something that we could talk about everything all in one session, you know, which is why that course is so handy, and there'll be a lot of interesting information in there as well. So yeah, definitely either hit me or Hathan up if that is something that you want a little bit more information about.
It's also Volunteers Week this week. I don't know if you know.
Is it really? Yeah. Oh well, happy Volunteers Week, buddy.
We've got so like we've got a couple of posts going out this week thanking the volunteers we've had down and still have.
Yeah.
So cheers, I guess. But yeah,
definitely, yeah. Cheers, guys.
There'll be lots of information out there specifically this week, which obviously if you're watching back, that probably doesn't help too much. But it's currently the 1st of June. Is it the 1st of June?
It is,
so
yeah.
31st of May till the 6th of June is Volunteers Week. So if you have, there'll be lots out and about. You'll see they'll be very visible on Facebook and Twitter and stuff if you look for it, and then there'll be stuff to read and like I say, information on how to get involved in that, which is quite good.
Yeah, definitely, because of course we're talking obviously about the sort of idea behind volunteering. Going out and actually sort of doing it is, like you say, it's a little bit of a minefield sometimes, isn't it? So that's why we're about to look out this website that we're going to look at as well. But yeah, definitely check out that other course as well if you do want a bit of a deeper, more in depth sort of look at like I say, everything to do with this side of things, really. Definitely, which brings us quite nicely to the next point, actually, and it's making connections, isn't it? You know, of course, going and making connection with whoever's running that course, other learners, and then of course, when it comes to actually volunteering in itself, you don't know who you're going to meet. Really, do you know what I mean? You don't know what doors you could potentially open for later on in life. You know, contacts that you might keep, and then for whatever reason you might see in 5 years' time, or however long it is, then you've not even maybe spoke to them since. You might say, oh, they're on Facebook, they're applying for this, that's right up my street, or these people might be really, really helpful and a really, really sort of useful resource, and they might be able to point you in the direction of how to transition into that sort of area. If it is something that you've decided now, okay, I would like to do that. Of course, going and sort of seeking out people that are doing it, have already done it, is going to be the best way to get a little bit of advice and where to proceed from there. You're going to get a lot of experience in terms of not just the job and the role that you're doing, but the people that you're going to come across and encounter and work alongside. You're going to get, of course, different stuff that might be asked of you within the job as well. So it is a really good chance to sort of, like I say, sort of make connections. Little bit of an interesting one that I don't know if many people know. I actually met Mel on a first aid course. I'd gone to do one of the Media Savvy first aid courses because I was PTing at the time and had to have my first aid up to date. Met Mel, and within like a month, I think she gave us a phone call saying, oh, do you want to come do this with us? Do you want to come do that with us? And that was like literally just a chance meeting of walking into a classroom that was pretty much mandatory for me to be in. And I bumped into Mel, and like now we are 5 years down the line and I work with her, it's you don't know who you're going to bump into. You don't know when you're going to bump into them. And of course, connections and other people in our life offer a lot. Of course, there's the mental and the social benefits as well. It's not just about connections in the way it can benefit you career-wise down the line, but that is definitely another benefit of it as well. You don't know what options and doors you're going to open for yourself just by going and meeting new people. Definitely not. Of course, we've mentioned sort of learning new skills as well, being asked to do different stuff in different job roles that you've maybe never done before. Work goes hand in hand with gaining experience and being able to put it on your CV. There was actually research done that showed that people who volunteered actually had a 27% better chance of being recruited for a job. So what's that? It's like over a quarter, isn't it? So over a quarter better chance of getting a job. Not to say that that's going to be the be all and end all, but of course it shows a lot of willing. I feel like it shows a lot about certainly someone's mentality. Definitely, what are they sort of willing to do, and I do think that sort of volunteering will go a long way and look really, really good on a CV. Then of course, in terms of getting inspired, you might have something in your mind that you really, really think to yourself, do you know what, I really want to go do this, I want to do this, I want to follow this career path. There's potentially, you know, a qualification or two that you need to get before you can go and sort of chase that down as a career. If you can volunteer within that sort of vocation or within that industry, you might find that you don't even like the job. You know, you might find that you don't like the industry or whatever it is, and that might actually make you decide, oh, do you know what, I don't want to do this now. I don't need to go away and get those 2 qualifications. I don't need to go away and try and seek out how I'm going to, at this point in my life, enroll on these 2 courses to get these qualifications that I need. You know, and at the same time, it might give you a bit of an idea of, you might surprise yourself. You know, you might end up in a volunteer role that you might take on for, you know, the skills that it's going to develop, people skills or whatever it is, and you might actually find that you enjoy the role or the sort of industry itself. You know, it might open your eyes a little bit to different career options and potential career paths for you that you hadn't even considered beforehand. You know, because like I say, it can be quite easy to not recognize the amount of different jobs and job roles that are out there, you know. So yeah, who knows, you might actually find yourself in a volunteer role that opens your eyes to an industry that you'd never even considered.
Yeah.
You might actually start to gain a little bit of an interest in.
There's organizations like, they will take on volunteers, but within them they have, like charities and stuff, they do have paid positions, and you might think, okay, well, I've worked with them for this long now, and something might come up in, say, I don't know, like, for example, cancer research, massive organization, like there'll be paid roles within it. If you've got experience working with them, you know, you've got your foot in the door in a way, and they know that you're already in the system and you sort of exist to them, and you've got a bit of experience working, like doing work with them as well and helping them, you know, in the day to day, puts you in a better position to get the job, or a similar job in a different organization, but you've done the same thing. So, oh, well, you know what? Why should we pick you? Is basically what they're going to ask you in one way or another. And it's like, well, I've done all this, and I volunteered to do it as well, which probably meant you had fewer resources to do it. So you've done a similar, if not the same, job with less money or time. You know, it's not necessarily always money. The resources can be time or access to certain things, and it really is. You can gain some really good experience with it as well.
Yeah, definitely, really good point, buddy. Right, guys. So last couple on here just before we bounce on. Of course, it sort of links in with what Haytham just said. Actually, this idea of joining a community, and you know, you're going to be around like-minded people, hopefully with the same interests as you, you know, or certainly some of the same interests as you. And when it comes to like Haytham says, if they're potentially looking for somebody who is going to be moving into a paid position, or an actual job role, they're much more likely to look sort of within, you know, somebody that they know already, someone who has got experience doing the job. So not only are you going to become part of this community, but you're also in a better position for, like you said, if an opportunity does come to move up or progress, or to move somebody from volunteer into a paid role, you know, you're in a really good position for that to be you at that point. And then, of course, you know, I guess sort of to mention before we move on as well, it can be really fun as well. You know, you can have a good laugh. Again, you don't know who you're going to meet. You could go into a job role or a volunteer role and meet somebody that, you know, you're gonna stay in touch with for the rest of your life. You know, I met one of my best friends through work. First ever job that I did. 15 years later, I still kind of get shot of him. Do you know what I mean? Like, we were both only there 2 years, but like I say, you don't know who you're gonna meet. I remember we did quite a lot of volunteering for we did like a world expedition where we had to raise our own money, and we went across to Gozo in Spain and did like backpacking and stuff like that. When I was in college, and we did like even just backpacking. Do you know what I mean? Like, not backpacking as in hiking and stuff like that, more backpacking as in stood at the checkout in Asda, and like as
Yeah.
people are coming through, you obviously chucking their stuff in the bags, and we just did that to raise money. And do you know what, mate? What a laugh it was. Do you know? I think there was about 8 of us went, and we I think we spent like 2 Saturdays, like 2 subsequent weeks. And do you know what, mate? Like I say, it was such a good giggle because we were all there for the same thing. We were all in the same boat, and like I say, it could be a really good atmosphere. And again, when it comes around to working with a community and working with a team and an organization, it might give you an idea what working with that team's actually going to be like. You know, again, you might it might prove to be an absolute blast, or you might get everything. Actually, this job interests me, but doing it with these individuals, not so much. You know, so again, you can really use it to inform where you sort of direct yourself. Especially when it comes to moving beyond that into sort of paid positions and stuff like that as well. Okay, guys, cool. So give you a quick look at this slide now, just before we dodge over and look at this website, just for when you are coming back. If you're coming back to revise or anything, if you are going to the website and using it by yourself, just use this screen here for the instructions, really. But I thought rather than whipping through these, we may as well just jump over and we'll have a look together. So if I can just go to where we at, there we go. Okay, cool. So we should have that up on the screen, yeah.
Yep.
Sweet. Cool. Right, guys. So doit.life used to be do it.org, wasn't it? Yeah. So yeah, we do it.life these days. So when we get to this screen here, which is literally where I've just come, do it.life, and it's just going to say discover, and that'll just pretty much let you click on there, click on discover, and then it just takes us to this main page pretty much. So of course it's going to bring up a load of just sort of results anyway, but then over on here, which is where we want to be looking, we're going to be looking at some of these filters, because these filters are going to be what you use to really sort of start to narrow down and really sort of specify what it is you're hoping to gain, what you're hoping to get out, or what you're looking for within a certain role itself. So if we were to go to there we go. So we could put your postcode in. Yeah, you can put your postcode in, and then you can set the distance. So it'll tell you sort of how far away from your postcode you're needing to travel or willing to travel. So you can set that to however far, obviously, depending on whether you are using public transport and however you would be getting there and what modes of transport you've got available to you. There is a handy little option to click do it from home as well for the time being, especially you know, for those jobs that maybe haven't returned to the office yet or are still sort of working from home. If that's something that sort of appeals to you, or something that is sort of necessary for you, depending on your own circumstances, you know, maybe you haven't been vaccinated yet and you'd be more comfortable sort of with a do it from home role, you can click that there. So you can just toggle that on, and then the results that you get when we click apply will be a do it from home positions as well. Yeah. Okay, cool. One of the little filters that I do like is this one here. It says outcomes for the volunteer. So what we can do, we can click there, and then there's a lot of different, pretty much, like I say, what benefits are you as an individual looking and hoping to get out of the position itself. So we've got, of course, these different sections. So we could say, right, I want to work on my physical health. I want to work on where we are. In fact, I tell you what we'll do, we'll go mental health. Mental health, we'll go mental health, sense of achievement, why not? Sense of achievement, and then of course we've got different sports and recreations we can click, different skills we can maybe say, right, okay, so we've got a sense of achievement, I want to work on my creative skills. Yeah, I want to work on my creative skills or my managing people skills. Cool. Loads and loads. So have a good look through. Like I say, there's lots on there that we can sort of just toggle on and off and really sort of tailor what results that we're going to get back. So if I've got a where are we? So I've got do it at home turned on. So straight away, so although we can see that we've got Staffordshire, we've got Hull, so these are pretty much all over the place, all up and down the country, but they are work from home options, especially right now. We could have a look on let's have a look on the post, and then the post will give us a little bit more information as well. It might let us know whether we'd need to be Hull based when it stops being work from home. But of course, like I say, we're just using this as an opportunity, like I say, to see what job roles are out there, or volunteer roles are out there, and then what information or what skills they might actually ask of. So we can see straight away here the role of telephone befriender. So that's what this role would be pretty much. It looks like we'd be pretty much just working as like contact or support at distance for whoever this organisation works with. So you'll be making fortnightly telephone calls to carers to alleviate isolation. Yeah, so straight away we've got an idea of what the role's going to be, and then it tells us what a carer's information and support service or assist, what are they looking for. So the employer or the recruiter looking for people who are friendly, patient, non-judgmental, sensitive to a diversity of individuals. So that is where we're going to be getting in the managing people skills, and of course rewarding as well, because we're giving something back, and we're supporting these individuals.
And this is really important for your CV as well. So if you've done anything like that, if you're applying for this and you get it, this is what you want to take a note of. So, okay, what have I done as part of this role? It's quite hard to think, but they've laid it out for you right in front of you there. Like, you've been flexible and reliable, you've been a good listener, and your communication skills are good. You have worked within a team. You've worked with, confidential and sensitive information about people's lives and the mental health and the physical health, and so there's a whole host of things in there that you want to be taking a note of. And if you've done stuff in the past and you're not really sure like what to put down for it, have a look on like DoIt.life and similar roles to what you've done, or like Indeed or whatever it is. Look for a similar role that you've done in the past, and the things they list will be the things that you did.
Yeah, definitely, buddy. That's a really good point as well. Yeah, rather than sitting and trying to if that's something that you struggle to do in terms of that sort of bigging yourself up or sort of promoting yourself sort of thing, that'd be a really good way to do it.
If it was 10 years ago, or if it was 5 years ago, or even if it was a year ago, like I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. I can't remember. But
exactly,
something good, probably. I hope.
Exactly. Yeah, you like to think. Yeah.
So it's making it a bit easier for yourself, rather, because it is a bit like daunting, like you say. You sit there, you type your name in, you put your personal statement in, and you're like, wait, can't really remember. Can't remember what's going on.
Yeah.
Like,
where do I go from here? Yeah, definitely. So we could look at this one, for example, and like if you've done any of these things in this way, of course you can pull that straight up and put that on your CV and say, right, okay, I've done exactly this. I've worked on the phone with people where I've needed to be friendly, patient, non-judgmental, and whatever. But then you might have, if you've never done a job role similar to this, that doesn't mean that you've never done something that requires you to be friendly or patient. So you might have stuff within your own experience, and that's where you can, like Haytham says, you can go on and you can actually look at some roles that you have done before in a similar style to this that will break down what, like Haytham says, what it was you were actually doing. So we've been, like I say, we can get an idea what it is that they're looking for, and then we've got some practical considerations. So the minimum age for volunteers is 18 years. There's no upper limit. Obviously, handy bit of information to know. There's an expectation of commitment of a minimum of 2 hours a week for a minimum of 6 months after training. Yeah, so it looks like they're obviously going to be providing training, and then expectation of commitment of 2 hours a week for a minimum of 6 months.
2 hours a week isn't a lot either.
No, it's not. It's not really. I mean, how easy is it to spend 2 hours a week start scrolling or watching the old Netflix or something like that?
I bet that's not even 2 like consecutive hours. I bet it's quite flexible.
Yeah, probably.
When you do it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So again, some information that we really do need to be made aware of. And we've got requirements. So must live or work locally. So I'm guessing that they're expecting that this job at some point will no longer be work,
Yeah,
so they need you to live a lot closer to. Was this one Paul? This
that was
one?
whole. It would be
It
interesting
was.
with
Yeah.
them ones if you got in touch with them because
Yeah.
and say like, I mean, you could always apply. The only the worst that it is, because you don't live locally, but it might be worth getting in touch and saying, well, you've listed, it's listed as do it from home. Can I do it from another area of the country, or do you need local people? There might be some weird requirement in the funding or whatever where it has to
Yes.
be residents and but it's worth asking the question.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah, definitely. But definitely. And then other requirements we've got will require a criminal record check,
Yeah.
something else to consider, references, and then of course owning a computer or secure access to one. So again, just something else to think about. Would this role be right for me? Is it an industry or is it a vocation that like vocational area that I'm interested in? And then, okay, I've got this far. How am I feeling about the position now? We can see their activities, sort of befriending, skills required, talking to others, managing people, a little bit of IT,
Yeah.
reading and writing, a little bit of teamwork, skills gained, talking to others and listening as well.
Like, I
So
mean, how many times have you had to ring someone in the last year or whatever, and it's been a call center member of staff, but they've been working from home in the like sitting room or something?
everybody,
You know what I mean?
absolutely everybody I've spoke to over the last year has been working home pretty much when I've made phone
Yeah.
calls and
Well,
stuff
I
like that.
rang
Yeah.
Virgin Media, actually, Virgin Media rang me, but it was someone like just sitting in the sitting room, and they were like, "Oh yeah, sorry, the dog's barking." And I was like, "Don't worry about it. It's fine. It happens.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of us."
Oh man. One of
You
my
know?
favourite ones is that I don't know if he was a reporter or a politician or something, man, when he was working from home and his kid just buzz in the office, man, when he was live on the news.
Yeah.
Saying that one, absolutely quality. Oh, there's been
Pretty much breaks the door down.
yes, yeah, yeah. And then the little toddler wanders in as well. Oh, it's quality, like what cracks us up. But of course, it's a position that a lot of us have been in over the last year.
No,
That's
definitely. And I mean, like I say, the point being is like there's going to be probably a lot more, or a few. I know some of the bigger tech companies have said that a lot of the workers won't be returning to the office, so there will be a lot more roles
yes,
tailored
yeah,
to be at home. So if you do some volunteering in that regard, it'll be like, well, actually, I've got experience working from my sitting room,
yeah,
because I did
yeah,
it for whatever,
yeah. Which could go a long way actually, because if you can say to somebody, "Look, I was in this position working from home, where the garden is and where the telly is and where the video game console is or whatever it is, and you've still got the work done and you've been reliable and you've been trustworthy, like that can go a really, really long way, like, okay, we give this person a little bit of independence, and they've worked independently and still to this really, really high standard, which could definitely, like I say, work in your favor. I've worked from home within this role. And then, of course, if you've got a reference with anybody who you were working with at that time, they'll also be able to sing your praises about, obviously, the quality of your work getting done, despite the fact that you've been working from home and working remotely as well. So yeah, that's a really good point, buddy. That could be good experience in itself to have. Um, so yeah, that was just one of the results that we pulled up there. So of course there was loads and loads and loads and loads. So let's take out let's take off the do it from home then, if I can. There we go, clear all. What should we have, Hathan? What should we have? What should we pick? Let's have four.
Dear me, what about the young person's mentor? Have we gone past? Are they activities volunteer? That one will be. Hang on, that one will be a person. That one.
It'll be a what?
It'll be in person. That one, I'd imagine.
Yes, you'd have thought so. Yeah. Yeah, working in the studio with the children's groups. Yeah. So again, that might be something that appeals to you.
Yeah,
Working
I
with.
mean, it just depends, doesn't it? Depends what you have to do and it's going to be specific to the sector you want to be involved in, really.
Mhm, mhm.
There's sort of like no, we can't say what you'd want to do.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. But
But the useful thing about this website is it gives you all the skills required, like the requirements,
yeah,
what you'll be doing, activities, the skills required and the skills gained. I think is the really important bit.
Yes,
The skills gained bit you don't really find too much on like the likes of Indeed or Monster or any of the job search sites, which do actually have volunteer positions on them. Like you can search for volunteering on Indeed. But the good thing about Do It.life is it quite clearly explains like what you'll get out of it as well.
yeah, of course, you know, because it's thinking about
Sort
the
of dedicated, isn't it?
the individuals doing the volunteering as well, not
Yeah.
just an employer saying, look, we need somebody to come in and do this, and this, pretty much.
Aye.
Yeah,
Which is a lot of the time, because that's the nature of hiring staff rather than volunteers. That's how it goes, really.
of course, buddy. Yeah. But this will, like I say, just give you a bit of an idea how to navigate this website in itself, which pretty much opens up a lot of different options for you to jump on over the course of the next week before next week's session, and actually just start having a little bit of a look around. You know, see what is out there. For the purposes of the workbook that we're going to be filling in today, all you need to do is research jobs. It doesn't have to be ones that are necessarily local to you. You'd probably get more benefit from looking at areas that do interest you, even if there's nothing available locally right now.
Yeah.
You know,
There is quite a bit. So I went back and I had a look in Sunderland. There's 112 places just within 4 miles of the office.
is there really? Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
Sunderland seems to be a good area. Let's have a look. I'll have a do a South Tyneside.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back over and have a look.
So I think the thing you need to just be careful of when you're searching is make sure you type the address in. So then click on one of them that pops up. Yes, click on that and then click apply on the bottom because it was being a bit funny. So make sure you click apply and then it should, there you go, it's bringing up all the stuff. That's within 20 miles as well, that one.
Yes, I was going to say I've had 20 miles on there, so if we bring that down to 10, maybe bring that down to 10 miles. I don't know whether that's just done itself. What have we got then? What have we got? So,
and then obviously you can put your activities in, so you can select I don't know. Let's have a look at volunteering with animals, for example. I wonder if there's any dog walking ones. No,
have a look. No dog walking ones at the minute.
Dog walkers, no.
Have a look. Caring for animals. No, no, no.
I'm just going to take my filters off and then I'm going to go for let's go for art and culture. Well, craft.
Bit of art and culture, eh?
Culture. I'm looking in South Shields at the minute. I'm just going
to
knock the distance up. I've just realised I'm doing it totally wrong. I'm in the wrong place. So there's some like shop volunteers. I mean, that's in Northumberland by the looks of it, like, which is, I've got my distance set wrong. But this is it. It's just going to be a case of coming in, putting your location in, and then looking for your filters, basically.
Yeah, just a little bit trial and error, isn't it? There's so many different combinations you could do. Like I really like how sort of customizable it is. You know, how it really can. You know, for someone who is always banging on about individuality when it comes to training and stuff like that, it's exactly the same with our interests and our passions as well. So, you know, we can really shape this around yourself, and you can, like I say, we can really sort of tailor the results that you're going to get to stuff that either interests you or stuff that you think interests you, but you might have a look and you might think, okay, I didn't realize that job would require me to, I don't know, make phone calls if you're not particularly keen on speaking on the phone or something like that, you know. That is again something that we're going to look at later on in the course as well, thinking about pros and cons of each job, because there's other stuff sort of with outside the job role to consider as well, you know, the hours that you would work, the shifts that you would expect to be on, you know. It might be a job that you're only going to be doing on a night. It might be like only nights, and stuff like that is stuff to consider as well before we look at individual job roles as well. Like Hatham says, it's pretty much just going to be a case of jumping on and having a little bit of an explore around this website.
Yeah.
And of course, like I mentioned earlier on, if you want to come back to this video and watch how we've done it, then by all means do, but the PowerPoint's got a slide or two in as well, just breaking down the same sort of thing. Okay, cool. So
And just have a go. Just click around on the
yeah,
website and see if you can
definitely.
get it to work. And if you're struggling, just give us a shout, because we've used it and we know what's going on with it. So
Yeah, of course. Just looking to see causes. What was this last filter here? Causes.
So there's causes, and I think if you press it, so does it let you select one or not? Press on the little arrow on the right, maybe.
Open something, but then there we go.
Try and scroll back up and see if it. There you go.
There
There's all your causes.
There we go.
Yeah, so that must be the different categories of like what the organisations are.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Right, guys. So yeah, just a little bit of a look at that for you, so you can, like I say, so you've seen it before by the time you jump on by yourself, like I say, over the next week, and start having a little bit of a look around and just pulling some different bits together. And there we go. I've got that back on the screen there for you. So that's pretty much what you're going to be doing when you're on there having a little bit of a search about. Cool. Right. So where are we? Next slide then. Cool. Right, guys.
So, Rob, I'm going to do my disappearing act now.
No worries, mate.
Rob
no worries.
is now in charge. The stream will run, and you've got the end button there. I'll be able to watch along anyway, so you're all right. If it goes horribly wrong, we'll be okay.
Spot on. I'll start doing that. Yeah. If I'm in bother, if I'm in bother, mate, it'll be that one. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Come back and help. Right, buddy. Thank you for jumping on anyway so far. Cheers, boss. Cheers, mate. Yeah. Just take it easy, bud. Right, guys. So, yeah, these slides that we've got up at the minute were pretty much in case we couldn't get on the website to actually have a look through, just from the tech side and screen sharing and stuff like that. But we've actually managed to get that done. So yeah, don't need to worry about those too much. If you do want to come back and pick some bits out of that, then you can. Of course, we can see it's pretty much just screen grabs from that website anyway, and it's just breaking it down again. It tells us about the job opportunity itself, what is the company looking for, things to consider, and maybe the sort of stuff that they would be expecting within that role. Yeah, so if you do want to take a bit of time and just, like I say, have a bit of practice reading through different job posts and picking out that information, then by all means do. But like we sort of just covered a second ago, there's going to be plenty of that when you actually get around to using that website as well. So again, don't worry too much if you're finding jobs that sort of relevant to you but are miles away and up and down the country. We can still use those for the workbooks as well, which we'll have a little bit of a look at the end of the session. Okay, guys, so what is a CV? Of course, when it comes to writing a CV and getting your own CV started, it is pretty much, it stands for curriculum vitae, which it's Latin really, and it's almost like up to this point sort of thing, so it's like your life story sort of thing, kind of. So that's where that translation comes from. So it's pretty much a document that you're going to use when applying for jobs. Maybe you've used one before, maybe you've written one before. I know that by the time I left school, 2008-ish, it was part of the curriculum that you had a CV and left school with a CV. Now that might not be the case for yourself. So maybe you've never written a CV. Maybe this is the first time that you're sort of coming around and trying to get your head into the space to put your first CV together. So the benefit of it really is that it's going to let you sort of summarize your education, your skills, experiences that you've had, and all of that sort of information, and lets you sort of sell yourself, your abilities, your skill set, to potential employers. And like Hatham sort of mentioned earlier on, the idea of trying to get across that you're the best person for the job. I guess first of all, trying to be the best person for the job, and then trying to let the employer know that you are the best person for the job. So that is what we're going to use our CV for. So what might we put on a CV? Because that's something that I've had quite a lot over the years. I remember sitting and doing mine, and I've actually handed CVs into jobs that I've gone in for the interview, and the interviewers told me, okay, we didn't need this, you didn't need that on there. So again, just thinking about trying to keep it as informative as possible, but at the same time, quite short and sweet as well at the same time. Like if you give somebody a CV that's pretty much like an autobiography, chances are it's going to go to the bottom of the pile and it's not going to get looked through, or it's a lot easier to sort of overlook. Whereas if you can get it all down to maybe 1 or 2 sides of A4 paper, you know, it's going to be probably quite packed, but at the same time, it's easy to read. It's going to be quite convenient for the employer, and it looks a lot better and it's a lot more digestible from their point of view. So we want all the important stuff on there without all the extra stuff that doesn't need to be on there. So how do we decide what's what? And of course, that is potentially going to one of the first steps that can make or break the setup for your CV. So we're going to have contact information on there. You know, we're applying for a job. We need them to be able to let us know whether we hopefully got the job, or, you know, potentially even if we didn't get the job, they might let us know that we didn't get the position so we can look elsewhere. Then a little bit of a personal profile. So again, a little bit of a statement about yourself. Sell yourself, you know. I know that again, the more humble, the more modest you are, the harder that can be, but yeah, that is your chance to really sell yourself, put across your own skills, what you think are best, maybe some of your passions, and then from there you can go on to list the more black and white stuff like your education history, your work experience. That might be okay between these years I did this job role required me to do X, Y, and Z. Underneath, the job that I had after this was these years, that job role was this, and I needed to be X, Y, and Z, you know. So again, we can really sort of link that back to what Haytham was on about before, where if we've looked on a job post and it says, okay, we need friendly, enthusiastic, patient, we can then start to say, okay, I did this job, that, you know, it wasn't within the same sector, it wasn't within the same vocation, but this job also required me to be patient and friendly. And then this job that I did a few years later needed me to be organized and sort of that sort of thing, reliable, you know, or whatever it may be. So that's your chance to sort of, although you are just really listing jobs that you've had and qualifications that you've got, maybe, you know, what school did you go to, college if you did, you can actually use that to tie it into the job that you're applying for, although it is kind of, the jobs that you've done in the past are going to be the same on every CV, but depending on what the CV is for, you might want to tailor those little sections and just say, okay, this job required me to be this, which is something that you're asking for, or this job required me to have good time management, which is something that you're asking for. So we might change those from position to position depending on what we're applying for. But of course, like I say, the dates, the jobs that you did are going to stay the same from CV to CV. You could put your hobbies, interests, and achievements on there. You know, maybe it's extracurricular stuff that you've done outside of qualifications, other stuff that really drives you, that really interests you. Again, more helpful if we can link it into what it is that you're doing or what it is that you're applying for, of course. And then we've got other ways that we can sort of make it really specific to again, the job that or the position that you are applying for. Can you research the company and the job in advance? You know, can you go on the website and see, you know, if they've got a mission statement? Can you link that into your hobbies and your interests and all of that sort of stuff? You know, if you go on the website and they say that they're trying to tackle climate change or like global warming or plastic pollution or something like that, you could put that in as a hobby or an interest. The job role might not require you to need that, but you can just say, okay, I'm really passionate about, you know, the environment and climate and sustainability and stuff like that. So you can again use a little bit of research on the company to link it in and really sort of endear yourself to them and what they're looking for. Then of course, you know, again, depending on where it is you're applying for, choosing the appropriate style, maybe it's the same layout. Can we use it to, again, do we change the font that we use? You can use headings, bullet points, all of that sort of stuff as well. Of course, we're trying to be as clear, concise as possible. Sort of mentioned earlier on as well that we're trying to keep it to probably at maximum within 2 sides of A4, just so it's a little bit easier to read and for that person to take in, not just a block of text, because of course we're not going to be putting things like pictures and graphs and diagrams and stuff on there, so it's going to be a lot of text. We don't want it to just be a wall of text that someone looks at and immediately sort of feels a little bit sort of like deterred, you know. Then once you're done with your CV, the first thing I would do and always advise doing would be to just get somebody to double check it, you know, be it friend, be it family, a colleague, whatever it is. Just ask somebody to read through that. Obviously check your grammar, your sentence structure, and of course just overall content. You know, they might think of something that really sells yourself that you might not have thought of, you know, that we might be able to put on there as well. So always ask somebody to double check your CV just before you send it in, and just get it sort of like proofread and check through. And then save as a PDF for email, and just before you send it across to anybody, it's a little bit easier to open. It's a little bit nicer on the eye as well. When it comes to just opening up and reading it through. That is, of course, if you're sending it electronically, which a lot of stuff is done these days, but not all of them. You know, you might actually be doing the old-fashioned, actually handing somebody a CV as well, which of course wants to be printed off. I would put it in an envelope with your name on the front. Again, just so they know whose it is, so they know what it is, if it is in an envelope or even just a plastic wallet, you know, where they can quite clearly see what it is, but at the same time, it's not going to get damaged, or it's going to get lost a little bit harder to lose as well, you know. So again, thinking about how you're handing it in, do you save it as a PDF and email it over, or you're thinking about handing it in person, in which case just thinking about, of course, preserving it and making sure it doesn't get tatty or any stains or anything on before it gets there, or even once it's there, I guess. Okay, cool. So for your contact information, you're going to want your name. At the top, you don't need to write on that it's a CV, because they know it's a CV. They're sifting through a pile of CVs looking for somebody to come and fill this position. So we don't need to put CV on there. Again, put your address and your postcode and your contact number, email address again, you know, just increases their ability to get in touch with you, let you know if you've been successful, or, you know, maybe if they're going to go a different option for now, but keep your CV on record for next time. It's a lot easier if they could get in touch and let you know. You wouldn't necessarily need to put things on there like your date of birth, your marital status, or your nationality. Your national insurance number doesn't need to be on there. Of course, this is all stuff that an employee can ask for later on, but shouldn't really be used from their perspective to inform whether you get the position or not. It is, of course, handy information to have, knowing how old somebody is, etc., etc. But at the same time, this is information that they're going to use to make a decision one way or another. And of course, it would kind of be unlawful to use somebody's date of birth or their nationality as a reason why they can't have that job, other than extreme exception, you know, and extreme cases, you know. So those bits of information are really going to be factored in, so we don't need to put those on there. Your personal profile, like I sort of mentioned earlier on, just a few short lines. It doesn't need to be a long paragraph. It doesn't need to be a novel. It can just be stuff that, a few short lines that sums up who you are and what you hope to do, potentially what you hope to do within the role, or within your career and lifetime maybe, or just link it back into what it is that you know that they're looking for. Think about the job you want and what the employer is looking for, and make your profile sound like you are the right person for the job. So like we say, this is the bit probably that you're going to tailor the most to link into what they're looking for, and using the information that's been on the post to be able to say, okay, like, I feel as though I'm good at this, give examples why. Although I didn't do it in a restaurant setting, for example, I have served people behind a bar or something like that. You know, I've done bar work, or I've worked in retail where I've had to do customer facing role and stuff like that. You can save the retail information for later on in your CV when you're listing your work history, but in this personal profile at the top, this might be where you can put in the qualities that you've got that are relevant to the job. You can then later on explain how you've got those qualities and where they've come from. And like we sort of say, trying to make it sound like you are the best person for the job. Your education history is going to be added after your personal profile. If you're earlier on in your career and you haven't got much work experience, your education history is going to come first. Yeah, you can say, I've got these qualifications. I came out of this school, college, university in this year. And then you can put any work experience that you do have at the bottom. If you're a little bit older and you've maybe got a little bit more work experience, if you've had more, maybe several jobs, you might want to change them around and put the work history first. It might be the more relevant. It's probably going to be the most recent. So you could definitely put your work history and your work sort of experiences first, then just put your education history underneath to say, okay, I, in addition, also have these qualifications, you know, that some of them might relate, some of them might not so much, some of them more might be maths and English, GCSEs, that sort of thing, but we want that on there as well. It's just a case of what order, and that's probably going to depend on, you know, how long have you been working, what have you got more of, education history or work experience, and putting that first, really. When it comes to your work experience history, of course, you're going to put in any work placements, but also any volunteer jobs that you've done, and of course any paid positions that you've held, giving details of the employer, the title of the job, the dates that you work there, and then, like I said, a brief outline of what you did, what responsibilities were required within that role, what was asked of you. Then I would always put your most recent job first. So the job that you've done most recently, and then work back over. That would be the way that I would do it. When it comes to work experience, most recent and work back over. When it comes to education history, again, it could probably go either way. You could start at the most recent and work back over, or start at the earliest qualification, probably school, and then build upwards from there. But when it comes to work history, I'd put the most recent first and work backwards, and then your potential employer, whoever's looking at your CV, can and probably will use somebody from that place of employment as a reference to get in touch with first. Of course, it's the most relevant, because it's the most recent, potentially. You can also, like we mentioned, using sort of active words to highlight your strengths and skills. For example, using words like organised, created, built, managed, planned, depending on what the position is actually asked for as well. Giving positive examples of your achievements as well, and just being able to say, look, I've done this, I've achieved this, and you know, it was positive and it benefited in this way. If you're applying for your first job, like this might be applying for your first ever job, you can focus on skills that you've learned through projects, maybe in school or extracurricular, part-time work that you've done, and of course any other volunteering positions that you've done or held in the past as well. You know, so there are a lot of different ways that we can use this main bulk of your CV to really sort of hit home on your experiences and how they tie in, hopefully, with the position that you're applying for, and making your CV a lot more appealing and stand out a lot more. Okay, so hobbies, interests, achievements, we're going to get on there as well. We can put on there using examples that show that you have skills that's relevant to the job. You know, again, maybe you are applying for something that's going to need you to work as part of a team, but you've never done that before in the workplace, but you play 11-a-side football every week and you're training 3 times a week and doing that as a team. That is a hobby or an interest of yours that links in your ability to work as a team, you know, work within a group to achieve a greater goal. You know, you could anything like that. You know, you could say that, oh, okay, I like or have done several walks where I've organised and I've gone out and I've just sort of supervised 20 other people around this walk. You know, I've I've organised the route for them. I've sort of directed them, made sure that everyone knows where to meet and stuff like that. It might just be something that you enjoy doing on a weekend, but that is not only really, really good organisation skills, but it's people management. It shows reliability, and all of that as well. So yeah, just try and have a little bit of a think outside the box a little bit. How do your hobbies, your interests, or your achievements sort of again promote you or suggest that they're relevant to the job? Again, now that could be really, really helpful as a section if you don't have much work experience. Again, work experience will probably be the first thing that they will look at, but then they will be looking for, if there's not much work experience there, this is where you can really sort of link in what it is that you do and enjoy doing to the job that they are advertising, or the position that's being advertised. References you can actually leave out at this point, and you can just say references available on request, but your recruiter can ask for references when they decide that they're going to take that step a little bit further, because chances are when they're going through that initial phase of searching through CVs, they don't chase up references of every single one. They will probably pick out the ones that they like the most and then seek out references from there. So at this point, they're probably not actively going to be ringing anybody to get those references. It might just be something that they ask for later on when they hopefully decide that the rest of your CV is absolutely spot on and all singing and dancing, and they want to pursue it a little bit further with you. So yeah, references we don't need to worry about too much for now. But maybe just start having to think who you could use for references. Again, that might be people that you worked with or for over the years. It could be, like I say, sort of ex-colleagues, could be other professionals, all of that sort of thing, you know. So again, start to have a think about what references you might want to use if and hopefully when it comes to that point. Okay then, guys, so we've talked quite a lot this morning about different skills that we might need to use, or that might be asked of us, or potentially even developed within a role when we get there and get to start doing it. But what do we mean by personal skills? So really we're talking about things like leadership skills. So I mentioned a minute ago, how well do you sort of work in a team? Can you be singing from the same song sheet as everybody else? How well can you communicate with those around you, get your point across, the point that you're actually trying to make, you know, clearly, concisely, efficiently. Maybe you're a little bit more independent. Maybe you work really, really well by yourself, and you know, somebody would be able to say to you, hey, here's a job, get it done, and it will get done. You know, links in really well with time management, another one that we can look at. Time management and independency can go pretty well together, in the sense that sort of like, you know, if you leave somebody by themselves to do the job, or if you in this position are left by yourself to do a job by yourself, you're going to need organization and time management skills to make sure it gets done, and to make sure that you can be reliable and are being reliable. Then you might have technical skills, you know, which maybe is a little bit more to do with experience rather than your mannerisms and just your sort of individuality. You know, some people are a little bit more introverted and, you know, don't naturally lean towards leadership roles, whereas, you know, technical skills, it might just be a case of, I've never used a digger before, you know, or something like that. It could be anything like that, you know, stuff that you're not actually sort of trained in or experienced in. And then a little bit of problem solving as well, you know, something that could be actually beneficial to an employer, in the sense that if you are tasked with a job, you maybe use your initiative a little bit, or you maybe overcome problems without needing to go back to your supervisor every 2 minutes. Or, what should I do? This is happening. How do I work around this? What should I do now? Again, depending on the job, depending on the role, depending on the organization, you might be a lot better suited for the job if you can just sort of take something and run with it and use your own intuition, you know. And again, that's just personal preference. It comes down to us on an individual basis, really. So yeah, those are just some examples of personal skills that we can look at. When we're talking about personal qualities, we're thinking more along the lines of maybe stuff that are a little bit more just sort of people skills, you know. confidence, a little bit of a positive attitude, respect for others, self-motivated to learn, all of that sort of thing, not easily disheartened. These are qualities that are they're harder to work on than skills. If we look at skills, we can say that these are things that most of those we could probably look to develop if we wanted to, or felt like we really needed to. When it comes to stuff like positive attitude, confidence, easily disheartened, those tend to be things that are just more, they're either natural to us or not. Yes, we can work on them, we can develop them, but yeah, you might just get an idea of what's a little bit more suitable for you and where you are right now by thinking about your own personal qualities, strengths and weaknesses, which is something that we've thought about as well. So yeah, all stuff to consider when we're looking at different jobs, different roles, and considering them, and like I say, thinking about their suitability. And we're thinking about their suitability for you, and of course your suitability for them as well, because it goes both ways. Because what we're trying to do is match up not just the person that is suitable for the volunteering role or the job role. We want the job role or the volunteering role to be suitable for the person as well. So everybody's happy and jobs are good. And we just noticed Wib's getting in the chat. Morning, Wib. Thank you for calling in, buddy. I hope you're doing well, mate. I hope you've had a good bank holiday. And of course, I hope it's as nice over there as it looks like it's going to be here today, because I think we're set for another scorcher. I know you guys are a little bit closer to the coast, so I'm not sure if it'll be a little bit foggier, a little bit more of that sea breeze coming in. But yeah, hopefully this weather's here to stay for a little bit. And yeah, hopefully we've all had a good bank holiday. Okay, guys, so that'll wrap us for CVs for the day. That is quite a lot of looking at what we could put on a CV. We've broken it down quite a lot. Again, Hatham mentioned earlier on, there is a whole other course dedicated pretty much to volunteering and learning more about this side of things, if that is something that you do want a little bit more information on. Of course, we are thinking about it in terms of the workbook that we're going to be filling in at the end of the session, and having a look at the end of the session. Everything that we've just talked about is going to help us fill that in and get that unit pretty much boxed off and almost good to go, freeing us up to move on to circuit training, which, you know what, if you're like me, and as much as I love the sun, I hate training in the sun. Exercising in the sun is something different. Like, I'll go for a walk, I'd probably go and have like a little bit of a kick around with the lads or something like that. I wouldn't choose to go and stand out the back on a day like today and start doing burpees and press-ups and squats and stuff like that, because it absolutely wrecks you. One of the media savvy fitness videos that I did that is up on the channel, I actually filmed outside in the back garden in the heat, and it just absolutely beasted me. So I'm in the position where now, this year, a little bit older, a little bit wiser, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to exercise in the house, but the weather's nice, I want to be outside. So what am I going to do? Amongst other reasons, I'm going to do some circuit training to cut down the amount of time that I need to exercise for. We have sort of mentioned earlier on in the session, one of the biggest benefits of circuit training is that you are doing one exercise straight into the next, for however many stations or however many exercises that you've got set up there, really. So there's a lot of ways that we can save time. You know, if I was to say to myself, right, I'm doing 10 exercises in a row, I don't need to do each one for 90 seconds, 30 seconds will do. So I'm going to cut down each one to 30 seconds, make them quite intense, keep my rest time quite low, of course. So if I've worked for 30 seconds, I might only want to rest for 10, 15 seconds, at max, probably 30. I would usually only maximum rest for the length of the working set, if that makes sense. So if we are doing a 60-second set, the most I would rest after that would be 60 seconds. I would probably usually come to somewhere around about halfway. So if I was doing a 30-second set, I would rest for 15 seconds, and then I'm straight back in for my next 30-second set. So really, I'm going to be able to do a full session in about 30 minutes. I'm going to be outside in the sun, making the most of the weather while it's here, but not needing to do burpees and press-ups and all of that not so nice stuff in the blistering heat, you know, as summer's coming. So, you know, Saving time is a big thing as well, you know, when it comes to, as we're going back to normal, maybe as you're commuting back to the office again, there's an hour out of your day potentially gone, you know. Maybe it's other barriers that you've got. Maybe, you know, you've only got half an hour in the morning to train. On an evening you go pick the kids up from school, and they keep you busy for the rest of the night. There's lots of reasons why cutting down on your training time can be actually a really good stepping stone to more sustainable training that's going to give you results, because you can stick at it, you know. So yeah, one of the main benefits of circuit training is the fact that we can save ourselves a lot of time, really, especially if we put them together with a bit of structure. I'd say put them together properly, but like I sort of mentioned earlier on, there is no proper way to do them. It is just a case of what your desired outcome or what your desired benefit's going to be. So circuit training, if you've never come across it before, it's a combination of usually 6 or more exercises performed with short rest periods between them, either for a set number of repetitions or a prescribed amount of time. So you might be doing, rather than 60 seconds like I mentioned earlier on, you might get to your military press station, you might do 20, and then you might move on to your next one. That's quite difficult to do when you're planning a circuit for other people, because somebody might go through 10 star jumps a lot faster than somebody goes through 10 burpees. So these are done sooner, and they try and move to the next station, and this person's still on. And sooner or later, you end up with a queue for the same station. So I usually always worked to time when it was a circuit for other people and more than one person at a time. Whereas if I was doing a training circuit for yourself, you could say, right, I'm going to do 20 of them, 10 of them, 30 of them, circuit done, sort of thing. You could do it that way. But I do find time a little bit easier to manage. And just keep everybody running smoothly and knowing what's doing. So one full circuit would be when all of the chosen exercises have been completed. Yeah, so you'd say one circuit or one round. At that point, you'd probably have a little bit longer rest. So you might do, using my example from earlier on, you might do 30 seconds exercise, 15 seconds rest, coming down to that half, and then you might only rest for 60 seconds at the end of the set. Yeah. So at the end of the round, or at the end of the circuit. So I would say keep your rest time at most the same length, you know, maybe somewhere around about half of your working time. And at the same time, yeah, when it comes to your rest at the end of each round, maximum of double the time of your working set. Yeah, so if you were doing 60 seconds a set, I wouldn't rest for any more than 2 minutes, you know, maximum, when I get to the end before I start again, you know. And then you might do multiple ones. You might do the same one 3 times round, for example, or you might do 3 different ones 1 time round each. Or Wib says, oh man, glad to hear that you're doing well, man. Weather's fantastic and beautiful in Washington. Actually, yeah, I popped through to Washington this morning, early doors, and it was quite nice through that way this morning as well. So yeah, a little bit further away from the coast, buddy. So yeah, long may the nice weather hang about. That's for sure. Definitely. Well, enjoy, make the most of it. I'm sure you've probably had the acoustic out for a little bit of twiddle in the sun. Why not, mate? Why not when the weather's like this? Okay, guys, so circuit training will usually involve 6 to 12 exercises. Should be structured in a way that enables you to keep performing the exercises with good technique and short rest intervals. So that's where we're talking about again. If you have structured it so you're working for 60 seconds at a time, quite a long time, 60 seconds, when you're doing a workout or an exercise or any particular thing. Like if you think a minute's a short amount of time, do a plank or a squat hold, and you'll soon reassess that. So if you have decided that you're going to be working for 60 seconds, the last thing that you want to do is give different the same muscle group for several consecutive stations. So you wouldn't want to do lunges, squats, jumping lunges into deadlifts, sort of things, because it's all really, really heavy on the legs. Now, if you were going to do it that way, you could maybe make the set a little bit shorter and just do 30 seconds at a time. But if you're doing 60 seconds at a time, which is quite a long time, you don't necessarily want to put all your legs exercises back to back, for example, because by the time you get to the last one, they're going to be that knackered. Form might go out the window, and that is where the more tired people get, the easier you want it for them to stick with good form. So I would always have something like deadlifts that requires a little bit more control and a little bit more focus for good technique. I would try and put earlier on in the circuit while I'm fresh. I've got oxygen in my brain as well as me muscles, and you can really focus on what it is that you're doing and work your way down to the stuff that requires less and less sort of concentration and technique. Now, the snag that you're going to have with that is if you've got deadlifts in a circuit that several people are doing at the same time, only one person can do deadlifts first, if that makes sense. So other people are going to be coming around to those deadlifts later on in their set, so they are going to be more tired. Their form might drop off. So again, this is all stuff to factor in when you're structuring it and the benefit that you want to take out of the circuit. You know, if I want people to be doing deadlifts and I want them to be doing deadlifts heavy, I need to think about how I'm going to structure the circuit and how I'm going to run the circuit. You know. Generally speaking, heavy deadlifts aren't great for a circuit. I would normally go lighter and just say, look, technique's still important, but it's not as important when you've got a weight on the bar that you can do 60 reps with as opposed to 5, you know. So again, thinking about that technique that's required, how tired people are going to get, how hard it's going to be to stick to good form as you are tiring. And again, that can help inform just how your circuit's going to end up looking. Okay, cool. So I sort of mentioned earlier on, you know, it's very time effective in the sense of, you know, you can be in, done, home, feet up, in the amount of time that you'll see some people stand and do their warm-up cardio, really depending on goals and what fitness kit's available and stuff like that. So heart rate's going to be elevated throughout due to the short rest periods. That is one of the massive selling points of a circuit. Pretty much, if you do press-ups, yes, your chest is probably going to be too tired to do bench press next. That's fair enough. But if I can get you to do squats rather than just stopping at the end of press-ups and getting your breath back until you can do more press-ups, your heart rate doesn't have time to naturally sort of drop during that rest time. So you're keeping your heart rate up, which means your body's working harder, which means that you're burning more calories. So really, you don't have time to rest. Like it could be said that if you're trying to burn fat and lose a little bit of weight and reduce body fat levels and work on your body composition, but you are taking 2, 3, 5 minutes in between sets, so you can manage more weight so the muscle's fresher, you're potentially wasting time in the sense that you would get more benefit from keeping your rest time a little bit shorter, not being able to move quite as much weight on the bar, but going again sooner and doing your next set sooner so you can actually keep your heart rate up. So again, your goals are really, really specific to the way that you are going to plan your circuit. And again, when you're planning the circuit for yourself, you can just tailor it down to all these little things, which is why I've always used them so much. I used to quite regularly just go onto the gym floor after a session or between PT sessions and be like, okay, today is chest day. What am I feeling like doing today? What am I going to do? I'll put myself a little circuit together of, do you know what? My triceps are sore from the other day. I won't do press-ups. I'm going to do some chest flies. I'm going to do maybe a little bit of bench press on the Smith machine or something like that. Utilize my chest a little bit more, come a little bit wider, whatever it's going to be. And you can put circuits together that just hit everything that you want to hit in one workout in a fraction of the time, you know, while burning more calories. Circuits have always been something that I've put particularly females onto if they're like, a little bit shy or a little bit dubious about doing any weightlifting or resistance training. You know, they don't want to just do heavy sets because they feel like they're just going to bulk up. I'm like, honestly, just do these 10 exercises without resting in between for a couple of weeks and you're going to feel and see the difference in this. There's no argument about it, because right now you're just walking on the treadmill, you know, and you're actually going to get a lot more out of it. You can, through resistance training, kettlebell swings, weights, all of that sort of stuff. You can actually burn more calories session by session than cardio. So there's a lot of different reasons to be doing resistance training. And, if strength training and the idea of bulking up isn't for you, then circuit training can still work really well in just keeping you lean, burning body fat, and helping muscle tone up as well. So an example circuit that we've got on the screen there, we could say squat jump or jump squat into press ups, into high knees, into a plank, into side lunges, then shoulder press, step ups, upright row, pardon me, but give myself the hiccups, V sit-ups, and burpees as well. So we can see just from that circuit there that after each legs exercise, we're working a different body part to give the legs chance to recover. Yeah, so squat jump straight into press-ups. So while our legs are resting, our chest and our upper body's working. Then we do some high knees, then we do a plank, then we do some side lunges, which is legs. Then we'll do shoulder press again, which is back to upper body. Then we're back to legs again, we're back to step-ups. Yeah, then upper body again, upright row. So this circuit that we're using here is alternating pretty much entirely upper body to lower body to make sure that they're hitting the two big areas, two big groups of muscles, which in turn burns more calories as well and brings the heart rate up more, because bigger exercises that use more muscle use more oxygen and use more calories. A press up burns more calories than a little bicep curl because you're only using one muscle for a bicep curl. So we're able to hit these bigger, what we call compound exercises, and really spike that heart rate, hit those muscle fibers, and a lot of them all in one go. We actually given, like I say, your legs have got a chance to rest while your upper body works, and vice versa. So by the time you come back to your next lower body exercise, your heart rate's still up and you're still working and they haven't fully recovered, but you've got your breath back a little bit more and they're not burning quite as much, and you can think about your form and your technique as well for that 30, 45, 60 seconds, however long it might be. So that is what we're going for with that circuit there. Again, there's no right and wrong way to set them up. It just depends on what the benefit is that you're trying to actually get out of the circuit itself, Okay, guys, cool. So that about wraps us for the presentation that we're going to look at for the day. Like I say, there's a lot of benefits to circuit training, guys. Wib, have you ever tried any circuit training? I know that Mel loves a circuit. I don't know if you guys, anybody watching along in the chat, if you've ever getting dragged into one of Mel's circuits. I know I definitely have. That there's a lot of benefit to them. Now, again, what we're going to be doing throughout the duration of this course is going to be actually putting together your own circuit and then designing your own circuit cards to help conduct that circuit. Yeah, so I've sort of mentioned before how if you're in a room and you're the instructor, like you guys will be in this case, or hypothetically are in this case, if you guys are the instructor, it makes your job a lot easier if all 10 people that turn up to do your session have got a really strong idea of what it is that they should be doing or need to be doing. Like you're gonna have a long session. It's going to be a long hour, however long it is. If every single person needs reminding of every single station when they get there, like they're going to end up they might spend 30 seconds of their 60-second working time. They might spend 30 seconds of that stood there waiting for you to come over and tell them what it is that they need to do because they've forgotten it. So that is one of the many benefits of these circuit cards, which is what we're going to be doing. So now's a good time that you might even be able to start having a little bit of a think about what your circuit might look like, what you'd like to put in your circuit. Again, as always, drop me an email if you're not entirely sure. What it is that you could be putting on there, what you could include, exercises, maybe exercises that you've come across before that you're not so sure of. We're going to be using some exercise kit. We're going to be using some bodyweight exercises as well. But yeah, like we sort of mentioned last week as well, the more information we can have on there, the better, Something that I hadn't really considered to be as helpful as it turned out to be, was just having the number on the card, like this is station 1, this is station 2, this is station 3. Because if you, depending on how you've got them laid out, it might be easy to miss one. You know, somebody might miss one. They might go from 7 to 9, so they get round to where they started too soon. You know, so they might do one full lap and they might say, okay, I've done every exercise. And people that have done each station and haven't missed one will still have one left to do. And then you get confusion. It's like, oh, are we done? Are we not done? Is there still one more to do? Who's made a mistake? Have you done one extra? Have I done one too few? You know, so it just simplifies things a lot easier, and of course helps people get the most out of it, because, you know, people are always gutted when they get to the end of a session and they realize that they've missed one, you know, or more often than not they're going to be quite gutted because they've turned up to work. They want that feeling of accomplishment, and to get to the end and realize that you missed one, it can be a little bit of a kick in the teeth, if you know, if you did want to do them all. So again, having that structure really, really does help. Just for the smooth flow of things, you know, like I say, I used to spend probably 15 minutes before a session getting set up, so that not only were the cards in the right place, but I had the equipment out. Because on the card it would say the equipment that you need to use for this station is a skipping rope, for example. We're doing skipping. So if somebody gets to that station and the skipping rope's not there, well, they're pretty knackered, really, aren't they? So to make sure everything's lined up, everything's in the right spot. So you say, okay, guys, that's time. Move round to your next station. You've got 15 seconds, get a breath, and then we're going again. That person, you know, they take a bit of time. They have a couple of deep breaths. They move on to their next station, however far away it is. They have time to just have a quick look. Okay, this is the exercise that I'm doing. This is the bit of kit that I need as they're picking it up. Timer goes. Right, 60 seconds away you go again, and they're ready to hit the ground running, and they can really, really sort of push for those 60 seconds and make them count, as opposed to like I say, spending 30 seconds going, right, it says I'm skipping, but there's no skipping rope around here, and I've never skipped before. I've never come across skipping, so what am I supposed to be doing? You can actually end up missing a lot of the circuit there. So yeah, from the instructor's point of view, it just helps keep things so much more running smoothly. You know, it keeps things simplified. It keeps everybody organized, and of course there's a lot of benefit to these circuit training sessions as well. So if we just dodge across two, and there'll be one while I'm doing all the tech stuff on this side of things. Bear with us, guys, bear with us. So the old screen share. So this is the workbook that we're going to be looking at. Yeah, and this is the workbook that we were looking at last week as well, while we were on. So we're just going to be finishing that one up. Okay, where are we? There we go, guys. Cool. So, the participating in vocational tasters is the workbook that we're going to be looking at. So if you don't have this workbook yet, for whatever reason, by all means let me know and I'll make sure you get it. The guys, here's the earlier on, stuck the link in the chat as well. So that should be in the chat and the description as well. So yeah, workbook's there if you need that workbook. But we should have made a start on that last week. So we should be up to page 5. So we started looking at doit.life. So we'll run through this again anyway, just in case you haven't had a chance to look at doit.life over the last week and you're just using the information from today's session and you're going to be looking at that. So you're able to look at the vocational area like we looked at last week: hairdressing, health and well-being, whatever it might be, business, and then 2 job roles within those vocational areas. Yes, so again, within the fitness industry, within health and well-being, it might be personal trainer, gym manager, or whatever it is. Yeah, so those are 2 jobs, different vocational area, 2 jobs within that, different vocational area, 2 jobs within that. So we've done 3 different vocations altogether. From there, we're looking at, for area A, picking one of the jobs that we looked at, and then looking a little bit further at the skills, the knowledge, and the qualities that are required. Yeah. So again, we can use the doit.life. We can actually look at the post and we can pull off the sort of stuff that they are actually looking for. We'll do the same again with one of the jobs from vocational area B that you looked at, and one of the jobs from vocational area C that you looked at. So this is where I'm saying it doesn't matter when you're looking on this volunteering site, doesn't matter how far away they are. I would be looking at vocations that actually do interest you, so you can actually start to get a little bit of an idea of, okay, there's nothing in my area right now that has this available. If I was applying for this job and it was in my area, what would be required of me? What skills would I need? And you can then assume probably pretty safely that similar skills would be required as and when something in that area does come up local to you, and you can actually make a head start on acquiring that now and getting the relevant sort of experience. So yeah, I would say it doesn't matter whether it's down the other end of the country, especially if it's a role or an industry that interests you. Don't worry about using that one at all. It doesn't matter if it's how far away it is. Okay, guys. Okay, so got that one done. That should have been done last week, but of course, if you're more comfortable doing it this week, now we've looked at do it live, we can do that this week as well. So from there, we're moving on to page 5. So page 5, we're looking at from the volunteering roles that we've looked at, completing the boxes below pretty much. So picking those job roles that we've just looked at, and we've looked at the skills and the knowledge and the experience and stuff like that. Pick one of those roles. So we've got the name of the company and the location, the title of the job role, duties and responsibilities that they're asking for, another little section for anything else that they're looking for, and then you can start to fill in this little grid down here as well, where you can say they must have, or what it's ideal that they've got, interests, activities we can log that the post mentions, skills required, and then we sort of mentioned earlier on skills gained as well, so we can get stuff that we would be developing and would be working on, dates that the position applies, and then if we can, hours that we would be working or required to fulfill that role. Yeah, if that was something that said you're required to do just 2 hours a week, you can maybe even just decide that yourself, okay, I would do it every Monday morning, and just tick Monday morning, do it that way. Do the same again for a second job role, and then do the same for a third job role. And again, these are the job roles that you have researched yourself. Yeah. Okay, guys, cool. So from there, pages 5, 6, and 7 were all that needed doing. So this is page 8. So everything up to this, yeah. So we'll be everywhere up to and including page 7. Yeah. So we'll be looking through. Tell you what, let's just do one out of interest. So that's me trying to edit a PDF. Right, guys. So we could say, coming back to the examples that we looked at earlier on. So membership administrator, let's just say we're looking at a membership administrator. So we could say company name and location. Company name, Hortonley Spring District Scouts. Yeah, this is one that we looked at earlier on. And what have we got? In Hortonley Spring, of course. Role, for this role, it could be, for example, scouting, recruiting, anything like that. What else do we have on this one? Support scout groups in Hortonley Spring and areas of Sunderland. Happy days. Yeah, so that's all it is. Duties and responsibilities, of course, we could say, for example, I'm just trying to have a look on the post. Membership administrator will work with the district team to manage the joining system. They will be expected to communicate and support other adult volunteers in scouting to help introduce young people into scouting where opportunities arise. Yeah, so that would be duties and responsibilities. What are they looking for? A good communicator, able to use email, able to use spreadsheets, self-motivated, wishes to support scouting without necessarily having a weekly commitment. Yeah, so that's what they're looking for. Then, of course, underneath, we can start to just break down in the activities what we would be doing. interests. You could even put your own interests and how that links in. Stuff that they must have, ideal for, skills required, and skills gained straight afterwards. So the skills, other practical considerations for this post are interpersonal skills, planning and organising, reviewing and evaluation, managing time effectively. So those are skills that are required, and they're probably going to be skills that are worked on as well. Can we see when the time would be? And that's just a flexible post, so there's no time included on that post, nothing in particular advertised, no work days required. And it doesn't even say how many hours are required a week there, so we can't even put that information on. So guys, yeah, that just gives you an idea what you're doing when you're working through the your vocational tasters workbook. Remember, from page 8 onwards, we're going to save, and we'll come back to next week, because that's looking at all the health and safety and risk assessment and stuff to do with those jobs. Cool. Okay, guys. So where are we? If I can go back to the PowerPoint, we can go back to the PowerPoint. We're going to be looking at this last page here. Who's this coming in? Oh dear. Who's this coming in? We've got a pup. Sorry guys. We've got a pup. No, I'll get him up and say hi. Hey boy, come up here. Who was that? What's that boy? Is that little mascot with the boy? Say hi to the guys. Hey. Oh, he's fidgety today. Oh, thanks for coming to say hi, though, boy. Thanks for coming to say hi. Thank you. Oh, bless him, man. Bless him. Out in the sun, wondering where I'm at. Okay, guys. So, yeah, this is the. I've just popped this last slide on just so, again, when you guys are coming back to just to revise anything or to just recover any ground. This slide will always be there right at the end of the session, so you can come back and say, okay, right, what was the homework, what needs doing, what sort of assigned for the workbooks this week, and of course the doit.life website is on there as well. So again, it is doit.life and not doit.org now. So yeah, just spend a little bit of time this week, just having a little bit of a look around. Oh, Wib, I'm glad he's not as big as Diego just yet. That is that's Woody, the little Labrador. I say little. He was little when we got him a couple of months ago. He's shooting up. He is shooting up. It's not long before we'll be fighting for space on the couch, that's for sure. But he loves his food, so of course he's growing. It'd be nice to get him through to the office at some point and see all of you guys in person, and of course get back into the office ourselves and see you guys in person, at least for the drop-ins on the Monday morning. You know, get the old beach walk and talk out again. You know, now that the weather's a little bit nicer, so hopefully not too far away. Oh, Wib, I'm sure we'll be looking forward to meeting you. Right, guys. Yeah. So, just to wrap up today's session, so we are beginning to plan your own CV as well. Again, just put the focus on getting used to the doit.life website, and then just start to think about how you can use that information on your own CV, how we have sort of talked about this morning, how we can take information on the post and be able to say, like, okay, I'm going to put some of these words into my CV, organized, designed, created, independent, depending on the post. You can actually start to plan your CV. So although don't worry too much about actually starting to write your CV, start planning it, thinking about what you might use to sell yourself. You know, what do you think are some of your best qualities or some of your most valuable skills? Start to have a little bit of a think about those. Of course, what vocations interest you, what jobs interest you, what areas interest you, And of course, you'll be able to go and have a little bit of a look from there, because that's one of the first steps, trying to identify where you do actually want to take this and where you do want to go with it. So yeah, begin planning it and just start thinking about, as you're looking through each job, think about when you're looking, when it looks and when it says we are looking for skills required, try and think about stuff from your own past that hits that criteria for you, you know, be it another job role. If it says that you need customer service skills, think about when you have worked or operated in a role where you've helped maybe members of the public. That could be other volunteer jobs, you know, it could be anything. Just because you haven't done this job or role doesn't mean that you haven't demonstrated a lot of the skills or developed a lot of the skills that they're asking for. So as you look at each post, just try and be a little bit more analytical and try and just break down, like, how could I put across the case, or how confident am I that I have these skills, and if I have these skills, where have they come from, you know, and just start to think about it that way, so you're already relating each post back to your own CV, because ultimately that's going to be what it is that we are what we're doing. So start to have a little bit of a think about that sort of thing, putting your own CV together. We do, of course, have a fitness video to go for you today. The link is in the description rather than in the chat. I'm just going to see if I can copy it across to the chat now. There we go. See if it's going to work. Copy link. I'll get this in the chat for you guys, and then of course you can go check that out. And it's just a nice one for today. I know it's quite a warm day. I'm aware that, like I say, for a lot of us, fitness might have not been such a priority for the last year. You might be just starting to come back towards fitness. You might be starting off on a brand new fitness journey. So today it's just chair-based exercise. So it's a session you can do sat down pretty much in your own living room, you know, be it in the armchair or whatever it is. So if you are thinking to yourself, oh, I haven't been so active for a while, press ups, squats, burpees, they're definitely not for me just now. Don't worry, there's something there for you, for everybody. And that link will take you directly to our YouTube channel playlist as well, where all the videos that I've done are on there. So you'll be able to go and, like I say, if you're looking and thinking, oh, okay, I fancy something a little bit more intense today, I want to do a core workout, there's one on there as well. You know, if you do want to maybe do a little bit of abs in the sunshine this afternoon, at the same time, you know, you might be able to say, okay, this session for this week looks pretty hard. I'm going to go and do the stretching video that's on there as well, that just talks you through some stretches that might just relieve a little bit of tension and hopefully just help your posture, help you get you moving a little bit better as well. So plenty on the channel, be it other courses that we've done or even just the fitness videos that are there, but that link will take you straight to that playlist and you'll be able to, like I say, have a little bit of a look through and pick one out. But yeah, definitely, it's a good reason. Last week's when we did do the stretching, and this week where we're just doing a little bit of chair-based exercise, it's a really, really good chance to just start getting moving again. You know, use it as a little bit of a test to see how you get on. Where are you feeling tight? Where is giving you a little bit of a niggle? Are you still aching in the same places that you did before lockdown, or is sitting on the couch for a year meant that your lower back's a little bit tighter than it was, or your hamstrings are a little bit stiffer? You know, I think there's quite a few of us think that we're going to be coming out of lockdown just back into the same position that we were in our own fitness journey before lockdown, and of course that's probably not going to be the case. You've either been trying to move forward with your fitness and still been chasing goals, or chances are you've probably been slipping slowly back over just as other stuff has taken over, probably rightly so as well, you know, depending on your own individual circumstances. I know certain individuals that just haven't had the luxury or the mental capacity to even think about, you know, losing a couple of pounds during lockdown. There's been other stresses, there's been other factors, there's been other stuff going on. So, you know, I'm aware that there might be a lot of us just now coming back to being a little bit more active, getting moving a little bit more. So yeah, those videos on the channel are really handy for just helping you get moving. And like I say, the first couple of this course have been really designed to just help get you moving again, potentially the first time in a while. So there's nobody that can't do last week's video and this week's video. So by all means, give them a go. Let us know how you get on. And if there are one or two exercises that give you a little bit of trouble, and it's like, okay, my knee doesn't like that, my back doesn't like that, as always, reach out and let me know, and I'm always happy to help and try and get you something put together that works for you a little bit better. Either something that, you know, leaves you a little less sore so you can do it more times during the week, or something that's going to remove a little bit of discomfort or pain through a certain range, whatever it might be. That's what I'm here for, guys. You know, that's what I do, really. I want you guys to be able to be active and fit and healthy, and I will always try and find a way around any barrier that's in the way, be it a physical limitation or otherwise, you know. So again, by all means, do reach out if you do need a little bit of help with that as well. So plenty for you guys to be cracking on with. If you're enrolled on the course, you know what you should be doing with your workbooks and the do-it.life and starting to plan your own CV. If you're not enrolled on the course and you're just watching because, you know, it's something that's maybe piqued your interest a little bit, and maybe you'd like to do other courses that are upcoming, by all means, do give me a shout. Maybe you just joining in the chat for a little bit of crack, because it's nice to just all stay connected and be able to just bounce some stuff around each week. You know, thank you for jumping in, and of course, by all means, you guys are more than welcome to use those fitness videos as well. They're up there for everybody. The more people that are using them and getting the most out of them, the happier I am, you know, I guess. So by all means, do give them a go, guys. So that'll about wrap us up for today's session then. Of course, if you do need to come back and check what the assignments were for this week, just come back to this slide that's up on the screen right now. Saves you sifting through 2 hours, pretty much trying to find, okay, where did Rob talk about this, where were we talking about that, this, that and the other, you know. So yeah, this is there just an easy sort of callback. As always, guys, please don't forget to do the short survey. Did that go in the chat? No, that one hasn't gone in the chat just yet, but I'm about to put it in the chat for you, if it'll let me copy and paste it anyway. Right, guys, I can't for some reason copy and paste that and put that in the chat, but that is in the description below the video. So yeah, there should be next to the title for today's session, there should be like a little drop down arrow. If you click that, that'll take you to, of course, the survey, my emails there, the workbook, and the link for the workout video as well. That's all in the description. But yeah, the survey is in there as well. If you don't mind just spending 30 seconds or so to fill that out, it helps on this end quite a lot with paperwork and stuff. And at the same time, you know, your feedback's really important to us. We like to know what we're doing well and where we can be even better and suit you guys even more, especially as we are looking to adapt to restrictions lifting and try and time everything right in terms of how we adjust to things on our end as well. So of course, feedback's always important. Ongoing feedback's always important. And failing that, guys, you know, like I say, if you do need to reach out for any reason, I'm just an email away. If not, we will be back same time, same place next week. And we will be looking at a little bit further into this workbook as well, where again, we're looking at the health and safety risk assessments and stuff like that, because of course, you can have all the information about fitness and health and well-being. If you can't make sure that you're doing them safely and participating safely, you're more likely to hurt yourself and not be able to do them at all, you know. So all that information's wasted as soon as we've got an injury that rules us out. So of course, we want to make sure that we're doing everything safe, and that is what we're going to be touching on next week. And like I say, just making sure that we are protecting ourselves and everybody else in the environment around us as we are participating in exercise and physical activity, especially, like I say, as contact with other people is going to be a little bit more regular, and probably a little bit closer, and something we need to consider a little bit more. Right, guys, that'll wrap us for today then. Thank you for jumping in the chat. Thank you for joining in, and of course, thank you as always for picking us as your provider. So enjoy the rest of the day. I hope the weather stays nice for the rest of the week, but make the most of it while we've got it, because do you know what? We are Great Britain. It will be dark and grey again at some point. So make the most of it, you know, the old make hay while the sun shines. Enjoy, guys. You know, it has been a long old winter. It feels like it's been a long old start to the year, as much as I can't believe we're in June already. You know, January, the old 3 layers on to get out the front door doesn't seem like so long ago at all. So yeah, make the most of it while it's nice. Get out for a walk, you know, even just down to the shop or something like that, you know, get them legs stretched off. Even if you're not feeling the exercising and the circuits and stuff just yet, we will get you there. Don't worry, we will get you there. But yeah, try and make the most of it, guys. As always, stay safe, take care of yourselves. Drop me an email if you've got a problem or a question or anything that you want to run through. And of course, we will be back next week for our next session. Cool. Right, guys, thank you for dropping in. Bye, guys, in the chat. Take it easy, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys next week. Cool.